Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Selinix Stocks, or welcome to the channel if you're new. In this video, we're going to do a full update, a full analysis on Google after the earnings yesterday. It was an absolutely amazing earnings report. We'll cover some parts of that. In this video, we'll start off with a bit of a summary, and then I'll take away the most bullish things out of that and some bearish notes, but ultimately we can be very short about that because you can see right now, I'm making this video a little bit before the market opens. Pre-market, we're trading at 372. The close yesterday was at 347, so we're up about 7%, which is major for a company such as Google, of course. We'll talk about the technical levels as well. You know, what do we expect in terms of the price action here short term? Can we actually rally up higher, even though we have gapped to the upside, and what levels to look at into the upside? And a general structure. So basically everything you need to know. Before we get into that, two things. If you're interested in a daily stock market brief, then consider joining the Telegram channel that I have. I post every weekday in there about the stock markets, news, personal buys as well. So if you're interested in that, it's all for free. Consider joining that. And outside of that, I also must say that my analysis here on Google is assuming that we will not see any super bad news coming from the Middle East, right? Bad news, okay, that's priced in, or at least that's priced in. We'll price it into the analysis. We'll price it into the prediction. But if we see the volatility index rally into the high 20s, then my thoughts will change. And if oil prices rally another 20%, my thoughts will change. But let's hope that that doesn't happen. So let's talk about Google. First of all, I wanted to briefly talk about the technical structure right here, which was already very bullish. And then we'll talk about the earnings, and then we'll talk about what to expect. So what you can see is that Google had a bit of a blow off top right here, early February, bit of a downtrend right here. Like a structure like this, right? So where you have an uptrend like this, and you have some sort of a blow off top. I wouldn't necessarily call this a textbook blow off top, but okay. And then a downtrend, bit of a consolidation, moving to the upsides. And then if we get another rally with significant momentum, which I think this rally had, back to the previous high, like historically, the price just always continues here. Not always, of course, but you know what I mean. Statistically, it's very likely that if you see a structure like this, so a blow off top, short-lived downtrend, spike into the, or deviation to the downsides into a strong support, which we had right here, and then a move back up to the previous high, very often price shoots through. So from a technical perspective, this already was slightly to be expected, but obviously the news yesterday absolutely blew us out of the park. And that's why we're trading 7% higher, and that's why I think we're going to rally higher as well, because I do think that. So in short, they beat total revenue, they beat EPS, net income, margins are up significantly. Google Cloud revenue estimate was beat significantly. They have an absolutely massive backlog at the moment. So that's the main story, I think, right? The main story with most of these Mag 7 companies is, okay, at the start of the year, it became public knowledge that they were going to spend a lot of money. Which companies actually have some sort of a backing for that, right? So actually have revenue backed up, and are going to be able to, those costs that they make with capital expenditures are going to sell, you know, are going to make more money because of those costs, such as Amazon. Amazon so far is doing very well. Google is as well. And that mostly has to do with the Google Cloud data. Those numbers were much higher than expected, but in general, it's also crazy, the growth that we see there. But it's also the backlog, right? I mean, the Google Cloud backlog at the moment is, I believe, $462 billion, which is crazy, right? So they did increase, and that's what I wanted to say with, we can be, you know, very, very short about the bad news. Like, they did increase the capital expenditure costs, and the YouTube ad revenue was also a little bit lower, but that versus the massive growth that we have seen, not only, by the way, from that, but also with some other business ventures or other operations, it's just very good news, right? So all of the fear that was priced in because of the capital expenditure costs are now being priced out, or at least it's being priced in that it's going to be fine. So the technical structure already was good. Now we're trading at 372. Most often, like I said, when you see a structure like this, it's already likely that we're going to rally up higher. We are going to leave a bit of a gap here to the downside, but I think it's most likely that either we're just not going to address that gap at all, or fill it partially and get a move into the upsides. I mean, there's just so much momentum right now behind the price, usually it has to be priced in a little bit more, and usually it doesn't get priced in fully in pre-market, right? So that's why I think the news is really good, and that's also why I think it's most likely that we'll rally up higher. When we're talking about higher, like I drew this trend line, I don't care much about that. I do care about these three levels: 380, 388, and 398, right? So those are based on some technical tricks that I use. Those are my key price targets right here. Obviously we're in price discovery, but the tactics I use are usually pretty good. I would aim towards the higher edge of this area, right? So the general area that we're targeting right now, and we can have some sort of a blow off out of that as well. It is right here into $400. If we rally all the way into $400 or a little bit lower or a little bit higher, my apologies, that would be a move of about 14%. I would say that's what to expect right now. And then from there, it depends very much on the reaction we get there. I would say it's most likely that there we will get some sort of a local top. But as long as the fundamentals, like I said at the start, as long as the fundamentals remain relatively calm and peaceful, I think after that we can see a continuation as well. But we'll talk about that a little bit later in new videos. For now, I think that's what you need to know. Thank you for watching, everybody. Take care and bye.